After you get it together, now they say they want it back. And I think what we have to say is we will fight against your efforts to appropriate what we have expropriated and turned into something productive. We will fight you.
Oh, yeah.
Let us be honest. This is part of what Martin Luther King spoke about in a very famous sermon. Perhaps the sermon that he gave more than any other, entitled The Three Dimensions of a Complete Life. What is happening here and throughout this city, the activities of ordinary people to make a life for themselves and their children, to make a statement to the world, is what Martin Luther King spoke of as the third dimension of a complete life. That cosmic partnership. It's bigger than any individual. It's bigger than a community. It's even bigger than humanity. It is that link between people and the cosmos. It is the saving of the planet from those who are so committed to greed and war that they would take us all down. That cosmic partnership. King said, we are all wrapped in a single garment of destiny. And what affects one directly affects us all indirectly. That is the height of humanity. The greatest form of love, when it is not just the love of those that you know, but the love of all of us and for the future that is yet to come. So we fight, and we must fight, even though we are people of peace. We are people of humanity. But if there is to be peace, and if there is to be a human community, what King again called the beloved community, we must fight against those who know but one thing, and that is destruction. That is greed. They call it neoliberal capitalism. Can't get around it. We live in a neoliberal capitalist nation run by the banks, run by the real estate developers, run by institutions that are not immoral, they're amoral. They don't know what it is to be moral. They don't see human beings, they see dollars. But it's not just neoliberal capitalism. The form of government has morphed into a right-wing authoritarianism. Elections mean nothing. Run saying one thing and govern doing the very opposite. Say I'm for the people when I want your vote, but as soon as I get into office, I do everything against the people. Say I'm for education when I want to be elected, and as soon as I get in there, I defund the schools. It's a form of authoritarianism where powerful institutions and banks and rich people run the government and perpetrate a fraud on the rest of us. We are on the cusp of fascism. No nation ever in history, no nation ever has committed itself to constant war without at the same time committing itself to constant repression against its own people. We are in a nation that is totally committed to war, endless war, They can put whatever name they want on it. War against terror, war against whatever else they want to call it. But in the end, it is war for resources. It's war for profit. And the same war for resources that they will wage in the Middle East, it's the same type of war they will wage against the people here in Philadelphia. Look at the failure of their rule. Just look at the schools. Mothers and fathers are grieving as we speak because they don't know if their children can expect a decent education. Grieving mothers and fathers. Mothers and fathers grieving because they are afraid to allow their children outside of the house because they fear the police. They know about Ferguson. They know the name Eric Garner. They know Trayvon Martin. They know Oscar Grant. Martyrs. Martyrs in the fight for freedom. And then, over the grief and suffering and pain of ordinary working people, the people who run the government have the audacity to say to us, and especially to black folk, because we can never forget the foundations of America, not democracy, not liberty, but white supremacy. All of the constitutional and legal protections, even for white folk, they will tear up in a heartbeat if the choice is between liberty and white supremacy, because it is white supremacy that is the fundamental value of this system. And therefore, always and forever, the main targets of the most savage forms of rule and government in this country are the African American people. And therefore the great Afro-American people, and they are great, although the system criminalizes their aspirations for freedom. Let me repeat that. The great Afro-American people, whose aspirations, whose strivings are simply to be free, not much more than that, are criminalized. The Peace Park will be seen as a criminal endeavor, not a human one, because it is black folk trying to do something for themselves. Let me end on this. You know, even as we gather to celebrate the harvest, farming, this beautiful park, we can never be unmindful that whatever we do on our own behalf is also political. It has political consequences. This park stands as a symbol against gentrification. Well, who are the gentrifiers? They're developers, they're bankers, but they're also politicians. Thank God none of them are here to perpetrate a fraud. Frankly, we do not need them. We can govern ourselves. That's what we mean when we say power to the people. It's not just a slogan. Once we wake up and understand that power to the people means that we can govern ourselves. Now, who are the people? The people are the ordinary working people, the young people, the women, the youth, many of whom have no prospects of ever working or having a job in this economy, whose only future is the penitentiary. But they are the people, and they are the ones that we whose aspirations we stand upon. This is a very political endeavor. Anything people do for themselves and on their own behalf is political because it is an act to achieve power and take power away from those who have it right now. So we're going to stand with the Peace Park. We're going to stand with the Peace Park because we believe in cooperation, cooperative economics. Take it another step, socialism. We're going to stand with the Peace Park because we ain't down with capitalism. Let's be real. At the end of the day, either the people will end capitalism or capitalism will end the people. We cannot survive this. It is to the point now where there's very little space for compromise. You know, I come up in that generation where you could talk about reform and civil rights laws and other types of legislation. I think we've gone beyond that. The system has said it's either us or y'all. It's either exploitation and profits or the people. I'm on the side of the people. The Peace Park is an exemplary effort of people's power. I think that if they try to take this back, we have to come here. We have to be prepared to get arrested. We have to be prepared to go to jail. We have to put our bodies on the line. We have to call upon our allies from wherever they are to come to North Philadelphia. Again, I'm from North Philadelphia. Gentrification has taken over Philadelphia. West Philly is gone. South Philly is damn near gone. But I'm from North Philly. We feel that we will be the last great battle in the struggle against gentrification. North Philly has always played that role. A lot of people want to ask me why. I'm not going to get into that now. But North Philadelphia will be the final struggle in the fight against gentrification. And I'm one of those people who say, if it has to begin at Peace Park, let it begin here.
Yeah.
We got to send a message down to City Council. You know, we got a mayoral election coming up next year. Tweedledee and Tweedledummer. Not a real choice. Nothing for the people. But we have to say to them that if you touch the people, if you touch the institutions of people's power, you have to pay a price. Not only at the ballot box, but we will sit in your office. We will disrupt your press conferences. We will make your life difficult. We know where you live. We know how to go to your house. We have to make their lives difficult. I keep saying I'm going to say the last thing, and this is the last thing. I keep looking at people. I say, maybe I should say this or that or the other. The most beautiful thing is struggle. The most beautiful thing is people. You know, and people in struggle is the source of all great values. I'm of the opinion that we have to create a new culture, new music, a new poetry for this moment. We have to say no to the corporate values, uncompromisingly. Uncompromisingly. If you advocate anti-people's values in your music, I don't care where you're from, I'm not down. I'm not down, especially for black folk. We've produced too much great music to put up with bullshit. Too much great music. The anthems of our struggle have to be the music that exemplifies what we are about. I'm down with Curtis Mayfield, a lot of people are not. And like he said, we people who are darker than blue, we people who are darker than blue, us, blues people. And out of the blues comes all of the music of modernity, all of the great music of modernity. Like one great blues singer put it, the blues had a baby and they called it rock and roll. Blues had a baby and they called it jazz, and they called it gospel. And Du Bois said, the blues are the sorrow songs, the rhythmic narrative of a disappointed people, the rhythmic narrative of a blues people. We need our musicians, we need our artists to bring us together, to express what is deep in our souls. The fight against corporate capitalism is an all-sided fight. We can have no illusions as we go forward. We stand for human values and we stand for peace. Therefore, we stand against almost everything that the American government stands for and the ruling elite which run it. Can't get around it. And like Patrice said, I'm waging a struggle at Temple University, unjustly fired, a cynical act by an academic whom I fought for to get his job, over the protestations of the administration who said some years ago, you will never be the chairman of any department in this university again. And soon after he got in office, he conspired with a dean who had every reason to want to get rid of me, to get rid of me. But we stood up. And now we're not just fighting a lowly and cynical, fraudulent academic, we're fighting really the institution itself, who said in effect, we have no problems with you, Dr. Monteiro, getting your job back. We know you are popular among the students, and we know that you teach things that students want to learn. But our problem with you is that if we bring you back, that will be an admission that struggle can get results. And if people think that by standing up, they can force powerful, gentrifying, neoliberal, behemoth institutions to back down, what example are you sending to the people of North Philadelphia and the students at Temple? That's what the problem is right now. But that's their problem. That's not our problem. Because we're still coming. We have not backed up off of them. Now, the president of Temple comes from somewhere in Indiana. We had a meeting with him as a result of a student and community sit-in to force them to meet with us. And I have to say, I don't know anything about his character, whether he has family values that they always like to talk about or not, but he is completely ignorant of the environment that he's operating in. Completely ignorant. The dean who runs the College of Liberal Arts, when she first came here from wherever she came from, I think down south, said that she did not see a black community in the middle of North Philadelphia. Did not see. You know, like the 5%ers say, she's part of that 85%, deaf, dumb, and blind. She did not see, so contemptuous, when not far from where she was sitting and where her office is. The great John Coltrane lived at 12th and Mass, so she doesn't see a black community. Lee Morgan, one of the greatest trumpeters of all time, grew up practicing Richard Allen projects, but she don't see a black community. No, it's not that you don't see a black community. You don't want to see the humanity of black people. And we understand what you're saying, and we're going to fight you. And we're going to fight you. The fight at Temple is not over. And I want you all to keep your eye on the prize. We got some things we're going to be doing in the future. We step into them. I'm going to be teaching, sponsored by a coalition of student organizations, an 8-week seminar entitled W.E.B. Du Bois and the Human Future. I invite you all to come. This dean said in the newspapers that she didn't see there was a need for Du Bois at this time at Temple University. If not now, when, girlfriend? If not now, when? But you wouldn't say that to the English department if they said Shakespeare. You wouldn't say that to the physics department if they said Einstein. You wouldn't say that to the music department if they said Beethoven. But you can say with a straight face to black folk, we don't need Du Bois right now. Is it because he said that the problem of the 20th century is the problem of the color line, and you feel threatened by that because you're probably a part of that problem and you can't deal with that level of critique? But that's your problem, baby. You know, get straight with history. Don't be defending the indefensible. If you're part of the problem, change your lifestyle and become part of the solution. Well, I want to thank you all very much. There's a lot more stories I can tell, but thank you very, very much for listening to me. And I'm always, I can't tell you, I just love being a part of anything where people are standing up. Because when you stand up, can't nobody ride your back. All power to the people. All right.